Your kid brushed his teeth this morning with a tube that cost you $6. The label on that tube makes 11 promises: cavity protection, enamel shield, whitening, fresh breath. I counted them last week at the drugstore. Your kid still got 2 cavities at his last checkup. 55 miles from where I'm sitting in Holmes County, Ohio, there's a one-room schoolhouse with 23 children inside it, ages 6 through 14. Not one of them has ever owned a tube of toothpaste from the store. Not one of them has dental insurance. And when researchers from the University at Buffalo went into that community expecting to find a disaster, they found something that made them rewrite the conclusion of their own study. Those kids had fewer cavities than children in suburban New York who see a pediatric dentist twice a year. By the end of this video, I'll show you exactly what those Amish mothers put on their children's toothbrushes every morning. 4 ingredients, total cost less than $2. And I'll give you the one daily habit, a 60-second routine these children do before breakfast that researchers believe is the single biggest reason their teeth stay clean without a dentist. This works whether your child is 4 years old or 14, whether you homeschool or send them to public school, whether you live on 50 acres or in a 2-bedroom apartment. Let me take you to that schoolhouse, because that's where everything I thought I knew about children's dental health fell apart. It was a Tuesday morning in September, and the teacher, a young Amish woman named Hannah, 19 years old, had the children lined up along the porch for their morning routine. Each child had a small tin cup and a wooden toothbrush. No plastic, no cartoon characters on the handle. Just a plain wooden brush and a cup. Hannah walked down the line with a mason jar, and she spooned a tiny amount of pale yellow powder onto each child's brush. The kids brushed for about 2 minutes, spit into the grass, rinsed with water from the hand pump, and went inside to start their lessons. That was it. No fluoride rinse, no timer shaped like a dinosaur, no $40 electric toothbrush with an app that tracks brushing habits and sends you a report card on your phone. I watched a 7-year-old girl named Sarah brush her teeth with powder that cost her family almost nothing, and when she smiled at me afterward, her teeth were white and straight and completely free of the brown spots I'd seen on my own nephew's teeth back in Cleveland. My nephew has been to the dentist every 6 months since he turned 3. He's had sealants, fluoride treatments, 2 fillings, and a $900 set of spacers for a molar he lost early. He's 9 years old. Sarah is 7. She has never seen a dentist. She has 0 cavities. The math doesn't add up unless you start asking the questions that the pediatric dental industry would prefer you never ask. Here is the first thing you need to understand, and I need you to hear this clearly because it changes the entire conversation. The toothpaste you buy for your children is not designed to make their teeth healthier. It is designed to make them willing to brush. The bubblegum flavor, the sparkle gel, the cartoon character on the tube, the artificial sweeteners, they put sweeteners in a product that is supposed to fight the damage caused by sugar. Think about that for 1 second. You are putting sugar in a tube to fight sugar on your child's teeth. The foaming agent in children's toothpaste, sodium lauryl sulfate, is the same compound they use in industrial floor cleaner. It creates that foamy feeling that makes your child think something is happening. But the foam is not cleaning. The foam is theater. It strips the natural protective oils from your child's gum tissue and leaves the soft tissue irritated and inflamed. That inflammation is the first step toward the gum recession that will cost your child thousands of dollars in their 30s and 40s. The Amish mothers in Holmes County don't know the chemistry. They don't need to. They just know what their mothers taught them, and their mothers before that, going back to the Anabaptist families who crossed the Atlantic from Switzerland and Germany in the 1700s. They brought a recipe with them. It costs almost nothing, and it works better than anything on the shelf at your grocery store. The base of the Amish children's paste is baking soda, 1 teaspoon. That is the gentle abrasive that lifts plaque off enamel without scratching it. Children's enamel is thinner than adult enamel. It is softer, more porous, more vulnerable. The commercial pastes use hydrated silica as an abrasive, which is significantly harder than baking soda and can actually wear grooves into developing enamel over time. Baking soda also neutralizes the acids in your child's mouth. Every time your kid eats a cracker, drinks a juice box, or has a piece of fruit, the bacteria on their teeth convert those sugars into acid. That acid eats through enamel. Baking soda pushes the pH of the mouth back toward neutral within 30 seconds, faster than any commercial paste on the market. That single ingredient does more to prevent cavities in children than the $6 tube you bought last week. The second ingredient is fine sea salt, half a teaspoon. The salt acts as a natural antiseptic. It kills the bacteria that cause gum inflammation in children, the same bacteria that lead to early tooth loss if left unchecked. It also draws fluid out of swollen gum tissue through osmosis. If your child has ever had red, puffy gums around a new tooth coming in, a tiny bit of salt paste on the gums brings that swelling down overnight. The Amish have been using salt on their children's gums for over 200 years, and their kids almost never develop gingivitis, a condition that now affects nearly 25% of American children under 12. The third ingredient surprises most people, a small pinch of turmeric, just a pinch. That bright yellow spice contains a compound called curcumin, and it has been studied extensively for its anti-inflammatory and antibacterial properties. In Amish kitchens, they don't call it curcumin, they call it the yellow root. The grandmothers learned that a tiny amount mixed into the tooth powder kept the children's gums from swelling, and they never needed a lab to tell them why. A study published in the Journal of Indian Society of Periodontology showed that curcumin was as effective as chlorhexidine, the prescription mouth rinse dentists use, at reducing plaque and gum inflammation. And curcumin has zero side effects. Chlorhexidine stains children's teeth brown. The fourth ingredient is a few drops of clove essential oil. The active compound in clove oil is eugenol, and it has been used as a dental pain reliever for at least 2,000 years. The Chinese were chewing whole cloves during the Han Dynasty around 200 BC. Studies published in the Journal of Dentistry in 2006 and again in 2012 confirmed that eugenol kills Streptococcus mutans, the specific bacterium responsible for most childhood cavities, more effectively than several commercial mouthwashes. For children, the Amish use just 2 to 3 drops in an entire batch, enough to protect, gentle enough for a 5-year-old. A 1-ounce bottle costs about $8 at any health food store, and it lasts over a year. That's it, 4 ingredients. Total cost, when you buy in bulk, which the Amish always do, comes to roughly $1.90 for a batch that lasts a family of 6 for nearly 2 months. Compare that to what you spend. A tube of children's toothpaste costs $4 to $6 and lasts one child about a month. If you have 2 kids, you are spending over $120 a year just on toothpaste, not counting the fluoride rinses, the mouthwash, the floss picks shaped like little animals, and certainly not counting the dental bills that toothpaste was supposed to prevent. But here is where the story gets darker, and you need to understand this part before we go any further. The reason you have never heard about this paste is not because it doesn't work. It is because someone made sure you would not hear about it. Before 1914, most American families made their own tooth powder at home. Baking soda, salt, sometimes crushed sage or mint, recipes nearly identical to what the Amish still use today. Homemade dental care was normal. It was what your great-grandmother did. Then the American Dental Association, founded in 1859 by 26 dentists at a meeting in Niagara Falls, partnered with commercial toothpaste manufacturers to promote store-bought paste as the only acceptable way to care for your teeth. The campaign hit magazines, radio, eventually television. Within 30 years, the idea of homemade tooth powder had been pushed to the margins, treated as primitive, backward, even dangerous. The Amish never got the message. They kept making their paste, they kept their children's teeth. Now consider this number. The American Academy of Pediatric Dentistry estimates that the average American child will accumulate between $3,000 and $5,000 in dental expenses by the time they turn 18. Cleanings, sealants, fillings, extractions, orthodontic consultations, and fluoride treatments. The pediatric dental industry in this country generates over $40 billion a year. $40 billion largely built on the idea that children's teeth require professional management from the age of 1. The Amish children in Holmes County spend roughly $6 a year on dental care, total, for everything. Now here's the study I need you to know about because it changes the entire way you think about your child's teeth. Search this yourself tonight. PMC, Amish Children, Dental, 2017, University at Buffalo. I'll wait. In 2017, researchers from the University at Buffalo published a paper titled Oral Health and Medical Conditions Among Amish Children. They went into Amish communities expecting to find a dental crisis. 86.6% of the children had no dental insurance. Nearly 28% had never seen a dentist, not once in their entire lives. The average distance to the nearest dental office was over 10 kilometers. A quarter of the families had to travel more than 14 kilometers to reach a dentist by horse and buggy. By every standard the modern dental world uses to predict outcomes, these children should have had terrible teeth. The researchers were prepared to recommend emergency intervention programs, but what they found did not fit the narrative. Yes, there were problems among children who had begun eating processed sugars and modern snacks from the local stores. That part was expected, but the children from families that had stayed strictly with traditional foods and traditional oral care, homemade bread, raw milk, no refined sugar, and the paste, those children had remarkably healthy teeth. Fewer cavities than the national average, stronger enamel, healthier gums. The researchers noted something else, something buried deep in the discussion section that almost nobody picked up on. The Amish children drink well water. That well water has no fluoride. The mainstream argument for 70 years has been that fluoride is essential to prevent childhood cavities. But these children, drinking unfluoridated water, brushing with homemade paste, eating bread baked from grain their parents grew, had better dental outcomes than children in fluoridated cities who visit a pediatric dentist every 6 months. In July 2011, dental students from the University at Buffalo visited Sherman, New York, to provide free screenings to Amish children. They set up on the lawn of an Amish farm. They expected to see a few dozen kids. Over 100 mothers and children showed up. The community was eager to share what they knew, but only with people who would actually listen. And here's the part that hit me hardest. The knowledge was never hidden. It was never locked away. Nobody made it illegal. It was sitting right there in those kitchens, passed down from grandmother to granddaughter, from mother to child, for 200 years. They just made sure the rest of us would never look in that direction. They made the homemade paste sound backward, while charging our families thousands of dollars for the alternative. And now, if you are a parent watching this, and you are thinking that this only applies to people living on a farm in Ohio, stay with me, because this next part is specifically for you. The parent sitting in a house in the suburbs, looking at a bathroom drawer full of SpongeBob toothpaste and strawberry fluoride rinse and floss, picks your kid refuses to use anyway. You do not need to move to Amish country. You do not need to change your child's school. You do not need to pull them off the grid. You need a small mason jar, 4 ingredients, and about 10 minutes on a Saturday morning. The baking soda is in the baking aisle of any grocery store. The fine sea salt is right next to it. The turmeric is in the spice section. The clove essential oil is at any health food store or online for under $10, and that bottle will last you 2 years. Mix 1 teaspoon of baking soda with half a teaspoon of fine sea salt in a small bowl. Add a pinch of turmeric, just enough to turn the mixture pale yellow. Add 2 to 3 drops of clove essential oil. Stir with a wooden spoon, never metal, because metal can react with the mixture if you later decide to add bentonite clay, which is a variation some Amish families use. Transfer to a small jar with a lid. To use it, wet your child's toothbrush and dip it lightly into the powder. Have them brush gently for 2 minutes. Spit, rinse. That is it. The taste is different from what they are used to. It is salty, slightly warm from the clove, and there is no bubblegum flavor. Most children adjust within 3 to 4 days. If your child resists, add a tiny drop of peppermint essential oil to the batch. That is what some of the Amish mothers in Geauga County do for the younger children who are picky. But the paste alone is not the full picture. There is one more thing, and this is the practice that I believe makes the biggest difference of all. I told you at the beginning of this video that the University at Buffalo researchers found something buried on page 9 of their study, something they almost left out. Here it is. The researchers documented not just the children, but also the older generation, the grandparents and great-grandparents. And buried in the discussion section, almost as a footnote, they noted that the most dentally resilient elders in the community shared one specific habit that the younger generation was beginning to lose. It was not just the homemade paste, it was not just the well water. It was a practice the Amish call the morning rinse. Before they brush, before they eat, before they even drink water, the Amish elders take 1 teaspoon of unrefined salt dissolved in a small glass of warm water, and they swish it slowly through their mouth for 60 seconds. Not gargle, swish, pulling it between every tooth, working it across the gums. Then they spit, and only then do they begin their day. And in the strictest families, the children learn this habit from the time they are old enough to swish without swallowing, usually around age 4 or 5. By the time they are 7, it is as automatic as washing their hands before supper. Here is why it works. When your child sleeps, the bacteria in their mouth multiply rapidly because saliva production drops by nearly 90% overnight. By the time your child wakes up, there are somewhere between 10 and 20 billion bacteria sitting on their teeth and gums. If your child eats cereal or drinks juice first thing in the morning, they are washing those billions of bacteria across their teeth and into their stomach. The bacteria hit the sugar in that cereal and begin producing acid instantly. That acid eats through enamel. That is how cavities start, not from candy at Halloween, but from breakfast every single day. The morning rinse kills the overnight bacteria before your child gives them anything to feed on. It takes 60 seconds. It costs nothing, and not one pediatric dentist in 10,000 has ever mentioned it to you, because there is nothing to sell. No product, no subscription, no app, just salt and water and a mason jar on the bathroom counter. I asked a bishop in Lancaster County where the morning rinse came from. He said his great-grandfather brought the practice over from a village near Bern, Switzerland in the 1830s. It predates modern dentistry by 100 years. It survived because nobody could profit from it, and that is exactly why it was never taught to you. Here is how you start it with your children tonight. Before bed, dissolve 1 teaspoon of unrefined sea salt or Himalayan pink salt in 8 ounces of warm water. Pour it into a small cup and set it on the bathroom counter next to your child's toothbrush. In the morning, the very first thing your child does, before breakfast, before juice, before anything, they take a mouthful of that salt water. They swish it slowly for 30 to 60 seconds. Younger children can start with 30 seconds. They push it between their teeth, they pull it across their gums, then they spit it out, rinse with plain water, and brush with the Amish paste. Do that for 30 days, just 30 days. You will notice changes that surprise you. The slight bad smell in your child's mouth in the morning, the one you have gotten used to, will disappear by the end of the first week. Their gums will look pinker and firmer. If they have been complaining about sensitivity to cold water or ice cream, that will start to fade. And the next time your child sits in the dentist's chair, that dentist will ask you what you have been doing differently. I promise you he will ask. Think about the math one more time because I want this to land. The average American family with 2 children spends over $120 a year on children's toothpaste alone. Add fluoride rinse, another $40. Floss picks, another $25. Replacement heads for the electric toothbrush, another $30. That is over $200 a year on products before a single dental bill. Now add the dental bills. 2 cleanings a year per child, $200 each, $800 a year for 2 kids. Sealants, $40 per tooth, 8 teeth per child, another $640. A single filling, $150 to $300 per tooth. By the time your 2 children are 18, you have spent somewhere between $8,000 and $15,000, and those are conservative numbers. Some families have spent $25,000 or more by the time braces are included. The Amish families in Holmes County spend roughly $12 a year for everyone in the household. $12 for the paste, for the salt, for the entire year. Their children keep their teeth, your children lose theirs, and the only difference is a mason jar and a 60-second habit in the morning. The most important thing I can tell you tonight is this: your child did not get cavities because they ate too much candy. They did not get cavities because they did not brush enough. They got cavities, or they are getting them, because the system that was supposed to protect their teeth was designed to create repeat customers. The Amish figured that out 200 years ago. They did not write a book about it. They did not start a YouTube channel. They just kept making their paste, kept teaching the morning rinse, kept their children's teeth, and let the rest of us spend $15,000 per family learning the same lesson the hard way. I want to hear from you in the comments. Tell me 2 things. First, how much has your family spent on your children's dental work so far? Add it up. Cleanings, fillings, sealants, orthodontic consults, the whole list. Drop that number below. I think the total from this audience is going to shock all of us. Second, did your mother or your grandmother ever mention making homemade tooth powder or doing a morning salt rinse? I am collecting these stories because the knowledge survived in more American families than anyone realizes. It just went quiet. If you found value in this, subscribe to the channel. This is not about supporting me. This is about joining a group of parents who are recovering knowledge that was taken from us. Real knowledge, practical knowledge, the kind that saves your family money and keeps your children's teeth strong for life. Next week, I am going to share what the Amish mothers in Lancaster County use instead of cough syrup when their children get sick in the winter. 3 ingredients, all from the kitchen, and one of them is something you have been throwing away your whole life. You will not want to miss that one. Make the paste this weekend. Start the morning rinse tomorrow. Teach your children. The Amish have been doing this for 200 years, and their kids still have the healthiest teeth in America. It is about time ours did too.